welcome, welcome. This is a great night to be at USC. What a great night. My name is David Belasco, and I'm the co-director of the Lloyd Greif Center for Entrepreneurial Studies in the Marshall School of Business. Along with my co-director, Dr. Helena Ilirenko, and the faculty of the Marshall School, it is our pleasure to welcome you to our talk with Pete Carroll. He is backstaged, fired up, and ready to go. You know it. You know it. Before we get started, let's talk a little entrepreneurship. How many of you in the audience, you think this is free? How many of you in the audience, by a show of hands, are either taking a class in entrepreneurship or will take a class in entrepreneurship before you graduate? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nice. That's my class right there. They better be. Let's get that to 100%. Our mission at the Greif Center is to train tomorrow's entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders by teaching them the skill set and the mindset to launch businesses and impact the world. We've been doing it since 1971, and we have a pretty good track record. Our grads have started some incredible businesses, including Kinko's, Salesforce, MySpace, to name a few. Our traditions include honoring an Entrepreneur of the Year, like Howard Schultz, Steve Jobs, Ray Kroc, Tom Barrack. Just in the past year alone, this is the place where business and academia intersect, theory and practice. Just in the past year, we've welcomed the founders of Siri, Square, Vizio, Kinko's, Quicksilver, WestJet, Kiva, Water.org, plus Mark Burnett, Stanley Druckenmiller, Jeffrey Canada, John Legend, Landon Donovan, and an appearance by Will Ferrell that went viral on TV and online. You were here. Next week, we welcome entrepreneur and brand icon Cindy Crawford to USC. We have a picture? Yeah, she's okay. In addition to her businesses, Meaningful Beauty and Cindy Crawford Home Collection, I hear she's done some modeling, so we'll have to talk to her about that. Like you don't want to be there. So we'll see you next week at Town and Gown, same time. The Greif Center has classes and programs to fit all majors and interests, from starting your own venture to joining an emerging company, to investing, to joint programs in social entrepreneurship, tech commercialization, gaming, the Jimmy Iovine and Young Digital curriculum. We have incubators, accelerators, and competitions giving away real money to start your business. It's no wonder that recently U.S. News and World Report ranked the Greif Center as the #2 entrepreneur program in the country. Number 2. I guess if the computers don't mess with us, that entitles us to play Babson in the Fiesta Bowl. We'll see. But all of this success is orchestrated by a dedicated and energized faculty and staff, many of whom are here tonight. And while we're acknowledging people, let's not forget to thank the man who endowed our program and is such a huge part of our future. We please say hello and thank you to Lloyd Greif. Lloyd. Nice. And you do look good. I would say that. You look good. All right, enough with that. Let's get started. Tonight we are thrilled to welcome back Pete Carroll, head coach of the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, founder of the Win Forever philosophy, and author of this great book, Win Forever. We'll talk some football tonight, but this is more about the framework, the tools, and how you can apply them to your career, your passions, and your life. Pete's a coach, but he's also a teacher and a modern-day philosopher who focuses on maximizing the potential of the team and every player and coach on it. He invests deeply in people and will push you in every way to become your best. Yeah, this may come as a shock to this audience, but did you know that before Seattle, Pete coached at USC? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Whew. From 2001 to 2009, Pete led the Trojans to 7 straight BCS bowl games, going things to cover, so don't clap after every one of them because it's quite a run. You ready? From 2001 to 2009, Pete led the Trojans to 7 straight BCS bowl games, going 6-1, 7 consecutive Pac-10 titles, 2 consecutive national championships, and within 19 seconds of a third, multiple Heisman trophies, a record 34-game winning streak, dominant records against arch rivals Notre Dame and UCLA, and an overall record of 97-19. What a run it was. Whew. And at the top of his resume, I'll sure he'll list, he made 4 consecutive appearances in the prestigious MBA course, BAEP 554, led by a certain gangly professor and fan, and we had a blast when he was here. When he wasn't on the field, he was applying the same passion and energy to community work and empowerment through a Better LA, which most of you have seen profiled twice in 60 Minutes, and there's some people from Better LA here today. Please welcome them. And then came the opportunity in Seattle, and look what they've built. In only his 4th year, Coach Carroll has revitalized the franchise, a city, the entire Pacific Northwest, and led the Seahawks to their first Super Bowl championship. And they said it would never work in the pros. Let's get it started with a look at Win Forever and this year's Seattle Seahawks.
As Stephen Hauschka gets ready to start the 2013 NFL season.
Wilson half roll right, fires down the far sideline, got a man, it's Kearse. Kearse makes the catch, touchdown Seahawks! Lynch in the backfield, here comes the blitz, look out. Throws it outside, Lynch makes the catch, and he walks in!
Great job, baby, great job, there you go.
Schaub goes under center, blitz is coming, Schaub's got to get rid of it, the ball is picked up, it's Richard Sherman, he's going to go down the far sideline. The first time in the history of this franchise, they've been 4-0. He steps up in the pocket, looks, he's hit, the ball comes out right into the hands of Bennett.
They put up on the board that they broke the Guinness Book of World Records sound mark. With big hands for that.
He gets hit, and Ricardo Lockett timed it perfectly. Wilson turns, hands to Lynch, finds room, first down, and more. Inside the 30, the 25, 20, he's on the move, beast mode. 10, 5, he is in. Beast mode is alive and well. Looks, going for the end zone. Ball is tipped over and afterway. It's picked off in the end zone.
Hey, what's next? What's next on 3? 1, 2, 3, what's next?
Denver starts Super Bowl 48 with the football. It's snapped over the head of Peyton Manning.
The ball is hit as it comes out and it's picked off. Malcolm Smith, holy catfish. Short kick, Percy Harmon with the catch, and he breaks free. Look out, he's gonna go. Take the second half kickoff all the way back. We knew Percy was gonna do it tonight. This Seahawks team is the best in the NFL this year. This celebration is gonna be spectacular.
Put that freaking trophy up again.
Please welcome Super Bowl champion and a great Trojans, Pete Carroll.
Hey, buddy. Oh, come on. Look. Woo.
you. Sorry, Glenna.
That's the one chant they didn't continue in Seattle, I noticed. Welcome back, Pete. It's great to have you back at USC.
Thanks, Dave. It's great to be here. Boy, you know how to throw a class. Look at this. Look at this. This is something.
It's grown a bit since you were last here, but we wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to hear you talk because it's so much more than football when you come to USC. Let's sort of recap. Where are you coming in from?
Well, we're just coming from the Indianapolis Combine. Just took a look at all the kids coming up for this draft and got the process underway. It's a big deal to us, you know, and this is like recruiting for us, as it is in college. So it's a very important aspect of it. You know, we're always looking to stay young and keep it competitive. So that's what this part's all about.
Excellent. I think there were 7 USC Trojans at the Combines.
Yeah, they did well.
Saw some of them.
Yeah, they did well. Yeah, Marquise did real well. Got to visit with some guys. Xavier did a great job in his interviews and stuff. And it's a very important moment for these kids, you know, and they don't know what they're getting into, and they kind of get inundated with the NFL in quick order. So it's very fun. It was a good day.
Well, thanks for coming back here, stopping over in your house.
Good to be here.
It's great to be
here at Boulevard.
In Boulevard. In Boulevard. So we want to talk tonight. You know, we will underscore a lot of the tools and the methodology that you have with football because it certainly proves what you're doing. But we want to talk about your philosophy: win forever, always compete. Before we dive in, can you give us a short summary of what that is? What does win forever mean?
Well, tell you a little quick story. Years ago, first year I was coaching as a head coach at the New York Jets. We played the opening game in Buffalo. And not very high expectations, playing against a tremendous run that they had there at the Bills. You guys might not remember it, but they were really good for a while. And we went out there, and somehow we pulled off a win, won the opening game of the year. And when the game was over, before we got back on the buses, I had a chance to walk back out in the stadium, you know, and the guys are cleaning up, and there's nobody out there. And I took a look up on the wall of where their offices were in the back end of the stadium, and there was the dates of their division championships and conference championships, one right after another. And you may not remember, but the Buffalo Bills played in 4 Super Bowls and didn't win any of them. But to get to those Super Bowls, they had a run of 7 or 8 years in there where they had won year after year after year after year. And that was the moment that I looked up there and I said, wow, that's really the true testament of being big time, winning year after year after year. I know they didn't win the Super Bowls, and I was thinking this to myself. I mean, it's like they won forever, and that was where the first thought of that ever came from. And from that point, years later, it made sense to me that when you're really doing your best is when you're working to be the very best you can be. And sometimes you can't win every game, and you can't win all the time, and you can't win all the championships. But as long as you are striving to be your best, then to me that's winning. And so from that came the thought: if you want to win forever, you got to always compete. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And so that's kind of where it came from.
And so let's talk core values before philosophy. The core values, the central tenets of win forever is competition. If you were to describe yourself in one word, it would be?
A competitor.
Yeah. So give me some of the other core values that you think are important and embodied in the win forever philosophy.
Well, first off, what we're trying to do in whenever we're connecting with anybody that, you know, whether they're a player or a coach in the system, administration, people, anybody, the kids in the streets that we work with, it's always about trying to figure out what somebody could possibly be, and then working with them to help create a vision for what that could look like, feel like, and then taking them to the point where they, by coaching them and staying with them, reminding them why they're worthy of that vision until they eventually accomplish it. And that's really the baseline thought behind what we're trying to get done. And so if you can look at it in terms of coaching, you know, a quarterback, like coaching Matt Leinart back in the day, or coaching an entire football team, we looked at it in the same way. How good could Matt Leinart be? And what would he be possibly of accomplishing? How good could this team be? What could we possibly accomplish if we all work together? The main thing about it that comes out is that if you're to become the best you can be, I think somewhere in there you got to find somebody who's going to coach you. You know, you need to be coached because it's really hard for individuals or teams to stay on course with their potential. You need somebody to kick you in the butt sometimes. You need somebody to remind you of who you are and what you're capable of doing in constant fashion, keep you in touch with that vision. And once that all begins to happen, you really can't stop it. Let me just go back on the other end of that. to show you what the power of vision is that when we were working in the streets, and I know you may talk about this a little bit later, and hats off to the Better LA guys that are here in the house. I know they're here tonight. Where are you guys? I can't see you, but thanks for being here with us. Yeah, one time. But they know the power of vision because the kids that they deal with, and I know for years would say, I'm either going to die or I'm going to jail. And that didn't ring true to me until I heard it enough times when I realized that was exactly a vision. That's how those kids lived, and that's all they had to look forward to. So certainly they created that. They couldn't stop it. They were reminded of it daily. They couldn't help but focus on it, and that vision kept coming to life. Well, that's one end of the spectrum, but the power of vision really works on the other end of it too, and you can create whatever you want to create if you're willing to go for it. And so that's really what's behind all of this. You know, that's where it began. The competition thing became, you know, my way of describing myself, and that meant that if it really was true, then I was going to try to find a way to weave that thought into everything that we were going to do, so I could constantly be connected with that emphasis. And so competition became the central theme of our program, and in everything we do, we're trying to win, lose, and battling, and trying to figure out what that all means. There's a lot to that.
And when people are finding their own philosophy, they have to find their own drivers. It doesn't have to be competition. It could be other things.
Absolutely.
There are other core values that sort of associate with it.
Yeah.
Optimistic guy. You generally see things pretty brightly, don't you?
Yeah. My mom taught me a long time ago that something's good just about to happen, and so that's kind of a way of life. You know, you look at everything kind of optimistically and favorably that, you know, something possibly is going to come your way. That is part of the way we think. It's part of the makeup of our program. We were thinking Super Bowl from the time we met 4 years ago without even having to focus on that. We knew what was out there. We knew what we were going for, and it was going to come about. And so, but that's a way of thinking. Communication is a huge element to us, being able to communicate with our people so that we can always stay in connection with them, because if you're going to help somebody be the best they can possibly be, you got to figure out who they are. You got to learn what they're all about. And so the only way to do that is to observe and communicate and grow with the process, so that someday you have a really clear image of what it takes to get that person or that team to go where they can possibly go. So huge element. The guidelines that stay with us in the philosophy is that you're either competing or you're not. You know, there's no in between. You're either going for it or you're not. And so we try to stay in connection with that. If you're a member of our organization, you realize that we are in a relentless pursuit of finding a competitive edge in everything that we're doing. You know, that's a real mindset. That sounds like a lot. If you're in relentless pursuit of finding a competitive edge in all things that you're doing, then there is no rest. There is no time when you take a step back. You're always competing to find that way. That tenet has kept us on track for a long time. There's another one that I think is a really cool one that has come about in the last couple of years, that we're developmental coaches. It's a real pillar of what we're all about, that our coaches in our program know that the players that we have are all we have, and we're going to do everything we can to make them the best possible. We're not looking for what guys can't do. We're looking for what they can do, and what are they capable of doing, what is uniquely part of that person's makeup that we might be able to accent and surface and illuminate to bring out his best, and on and on. So there's a lot of it, but that's some of the stuff.
Oh, we're going to dive into it. We're diving in. So Win Forever, even though it's based on competition and you're a football coach, it's not just for sports, it's not just for athletes, it's for everything. And you know, some smart organizations are retaining Win Forever and using Win Forever methods, including Microsoft in Seattle.
Yes.
You got a big program with them, and just recently Dr. Michael Gervais, your partner, completed a program here at USC with Joe Priester and a bunch of other professors. All the students are here, and so they know that it's real. It's not just talk. It's actually things that if you practice and you utilize, you really can make a difference. So let's talk before the philosophy.
Okay.
Before that was crystallized and you had it dialed in. And by the way, we know it's always changing and you're always learning. But let's go back a little bit and give people some context. You weren't always Super Bowl champion. In fact, your first time in the NFL.
By the way, let me interrupt you. I did notice that you did mention the 19-second thing here about the Texas game. I noticed in the introduction. I did catch that, and just so that you know. I did hear it.
You didn't
have to say that. You know, you could just let that go. You know. But you knew. You knew that was going to get me a little bit, and you did.
It's not about you, actually. It's just the years and years of therapy I finally have recovered.
I know, but every year we've done this, you always do that. You know. figured one of these times.
Well, we're beyond that now.
go
But
No.
or so my therapist says. So you spent almost 40 years now coaching, right? 40 years coaching at the college and professional levels. In your 20s, you hustled your way from job to job, moving up the ladder. You became a young star as the Jets' defensive coordinator in the early 90s. And you were one of the youngest head coaches in the NFL when you took over the Jets in 1994. Your team comes out of the gate pretty well, but then finishes 6-10, and you're fired after one season. One season.
He loves to do this.
One season.
That's okay, I can take it.
Did you suspect your job was in jeopardy? And can you tell us about your reaction to that? Because I think it's very poignant, because everybody's going to get fired at some point in their life.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Okay, we're 6-5. We're playing Miami in New York for first place in the AFC East, and we're up. We're killing them. We're having a great game, and somehow it starts to go. Boomer Esiason all of a sudden can't throw the ball to anybody but them. We get interception, touchdown, interception here, and it just goes south. And if you remember, some of you that are NFL history buffs, there's a game in here where Dan Marino faked the spike and threw it to the guy outside. Well, that was my game. Never got to live that one down, even though, anyway. But the problem with that is we go on to lose the next 4 games. So we were playing for first place week 12 of the NFL season in our first year, and we're kind of going, and then all of a sudden it just went south and we lost it. So the season's over, and as the coaches, we start working on next year. We're looking at the roster. We're looking. It was the first year the cap was coming up, so we had a lot of stuff that we're working on. And I get on my door. Coach, they want to see you in the general manager's office, Dick Steinberg's office. Mr. Hess is here, Leon Hess. Leon Hess is the sludge oil magnate of all time, and it made a huge industry of taking sludge oil and making some product out of it, and made himself a multi-billionaire, and worked from rags to riches. Great story and all that, tough as you can be and tough as nails. I talked to him one time in the 4 years preceding at the time I'm at the Jets. So I'm walking, I say, hey, cool, I get to go see Leon. What's going on? We'll go down to go visit with Leon. Well, I walk in Dick Steinberg's office, and there's 2 chairs, and he's sitting in one of them, and there's another one facing him. It's kind of off to the side in the corner, and this looks odd, and I sit down and, shake hands. How you doing? He said, Pete, a man in your position in the business world would resign, but I know you're not going to do that. And I'm thinking, in the business world, resign, and I'm not going to do that. You're fired. See, I just signed a 4-year contract, and I had no idea. We had a lousy finish to the season and all, but it didn't see it coming. I look over at Dick Steinberg, and he's just like, he was finding out for the first time too. And the next thought I had, I said, this is the most amazing thing that ever happened. I've got 3 more years on my contract. We got to go to Disney World. I promise you, Glenna's out here. She'll attest to it, because we were there about 4 days later, and so my mom came through, I guess. Something good's just about to happen, but it was an extraordinary moment. I really thought I was looking right in the face of the devil at the time. I couldn't believe it was happening, but it is a great illustration. It is a great illustration that sometimes you just don't know, and we hadn't done great, but he went on to the next year, and I'll tell you the best part of the story is I think they went 1-15, so sucks to be them.
So, yeah, you can never put your program in place. You don't have your players. You don't have anything in place in 1 year. So
no excuses.
It's
we
tough
were
to do.
6-10.
So the fall, you get the call in New England from 97 to 99, where you lead the Patriots to the playoffs in 2 of 3 years. But again, after the 3rd year, you're terminated. You're fired. This time with some comments about your sort of laid-back coaching style. What did you take away from that experience, and what did you do during the period of reflection?
Let's go back for a moment here so that you can set the stage.
The context.
Bill Parcells was the head coach before I got the job. They had just gone to the Super Bowl and gotten beat by Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers. He doesn't fly back on the team plane. He doesn't want any part of that organization because he no longer had the power to make the decisions on personnel and all of that. He had found that out leading into the season, so he was out the door. So now, if any of you remember Bill Parcells, and a young crowd here and all that, but he was like Attila the Hun compared to me. And he had run all of his organizations with the heavy hands, strong-fisted, and all of that. Matter of fact, when the first day that we're going to go to camp, my first camp, summer camp, training camp, in the newspaper, in the sports page of the Boston Globe or whatever it was, a full-length caricature of Bill Parcells with pearl-handled pistols and standing with this, really grump look on his face, and I'm standing there next to with a surfboard, bare feet, and a glass of wine. That's how they characterized us, and I hadn't even coached a game yet. So it was going to be a very difficult. It was a difficult, transition to make. That I was more than welcome. I was at the point where I thought, of course I can do a better job than Coach Parcells had done. Now we'll take this thing. We'll win the Super Bowl in the next year. So it was a very difficult time. We win the division the first year, win a playoff game, lose in the conference championship game. The next year we go back as a wild card team, and the next year we're fighting for an 8-8 season. We win the last game to make it 8-8, and I get fired that day. And so. There was a new stadium being built. There was a lot of politics going on. A tremendous family. The Crafts were a great family, and Robert Kraft, who hired me, he hired me on the rebound from Bill Parcells, and he got what he wanted. He got a guy that would communicate with him and talk to him and help him through. Parcells locked him out of the facility, so he got a much different exchange with his head coach. But at the time, he felt he needed to make a change. Well, he hired Bill Belichick, and Bill fortunately drafted Tom, and from then on, the rest is history. They had a great run and did a great job. But they were 4-12 the first year, so sucks to be them that year. So I don't think you should detect that as bitterness, okay? That's not really bitterness. A little bit of competition coming out. But anyway, so it was a fantastic opportunity. But here's what's really, this might be interesting to the students, that I had just been at the San Francisco 49ers for 2 years, and I was there when George Seifert was the head coach, and Bill, the infamous Bill Walsh, had come back as a consultant to the team. He had retired a couple years before that. And I had 2 years, growing up in the Bay Area and all of that, and I was a Niner fan growing up and all of that, might surprise you. But I had the opportunity to study in that system, which was a heralded system. They had turned out head coaches and successful coaches, one right after another, and I was thrilled to be part of it. And I got to really dig into the philosophy and the approach and asked a million questions. I sat with Bill Walsh, timeless opportunities to kind of drill down into why he was thinking what he was thinking. And then I get the Patriots opportunity. And Robert Kraft, the owner, says, we want the San Francisco philosophy here in New England, and that's one of the big reasons why we're hiring you, and here you go, Well, so I couldn't have been happier. I was thrilled to go ahead and bring the philosophy and the approach. But I found out, the 49ers couldn't have done things in more first-class manner than they did. It was an extraordinary organization. They had all those championship years and were fantastic. Well, I get there and I'm organizing the first mini camp that's coming up. And so as we're going through the stuff that you got to do, I get to the meals where we're going to feed the players. And so I said, well, we're going to, they're going to have roast beef, they're going to have chicken, they're going to have the food, and just tremendous, just the way we had done it. And Robert Kraft gets word of that. He gives me, no, that's not what we do here. No, here we have soup and sandwiches for lunch, and that's all I had to say. And I went, oh no, I'm screwed. I'm screwed, right from that, because what he thought he wanted and what he was willing to do were two different things. And as the process of understanding the pecking order in the organization and who was going to select the players and all the things that wasn't made as clear to me as it should have been when I started, was totally different than what I had expected. And it wasn't what it needed to be for me to coach in the NFL successfully. And so we had to share the personnel and the drafting and all that kind of stuff, and it was a mess. So we did the best we could. And so when I'm walking out the door and he says, okay, it's over, I was okay. I was okay. One, I knew he didn't know what he was doing, that he didn't really know what he was losing, right. And he didn't really know where he was going at the time. And so he was a young owner that was going to figure it out, and he hit it great and did Hall of Fame type of stuff after that. And I knew that I still had a lot of good stuff in me because I hadn't given it my best shot yet. So that's where that ended.
So this is sort of important.
Hard lessons. Those are hard lessons. And I like the other guys to learn the hard way, but sometimes you just have to.
We actually, you know that. The only time you learn about yourself is through adversity and through the hard times. You don't learn it when
I
everything's
don't totally agree with that, but
Well,
that's okay.
I mean, you learn a lot about you learn a lot about yourself when you're faced with these.
Absolutely.
So you had a paid period of reflection afterwards, and so is this a time when you sort of had some time to crystallize your philosophy? And can you tell us about maybe the book that was most influential and when that eureka moment came?
Well, Glenna and I retired at that time, and so it was for about 10 months is all we could take it, and it's all she could take of me being home that much. But about the time that the college season was rounding out, my son was finishing his career at Pitt, and we had a chance to go to a lot of games. It was a great year for us. We had a great fun. But as the end of the college season started winding down, I knew that I could feel the churn and the competitiveness. I got to get going. I got to figure out what's going to happen next. And just fortunately, somebody had given me one of Coach John Wooden's books, a little blue book that he has. He has a number of books, but that was one of my favorites. And I was reading through it, and I got to a part in the book where it said in his 16th year at UCLA, he won his first national championship. I couldn't close that book fast enough, and it just hit me. And I was pissed. It shocked me that it took that long for him, because I knew the rest of the story. The story, he won 10 of the next 12 years. He wins the national championship. Can you even imagine a team winning college football or college basketball 10 out of 12 years? You can't even imagine that. He did that. What hit me so hard was I knew that he was such a unique person and such a different type of character in this head coaching role, and he had his own style, his own way, and he was just so almost enigmatic in his manner. That what hit me was that when he finally figured it out, nobody could touch him. He was unbeatable. He won year, stepped down, and then he won it his last year, and then retires. He steps down from being a head coach. A young man still by coaching years. And so it hit me that I've got to figure out my program. I've got to get my act together. I've been coaching for whatever it was, almost 30 years, or 20-something years at the time. But I still didn't have it nailed. And I knew that I wouldn't get 16 years in my next job. I was going to get lucky to get 16 months or something, as the way it had gone for me. So I had to get going. And so I just started writing down everything I could think of that was important to me. And it was truly a catharsis. It was just notebook, just everything I could think of, from football to travel to camps to motivation to having fun to summer breaks to all spring football, everything I could think of. And out of that came just pages after pages of beliefs. And I lucked out, and then I wrote down things that really mattered, and I got to what I for whatever reason I was writing down only things that I totally believed in. And so rather than things that I thought were important or things that maybe somebody else had told me that was important. Right. And out of that, somewhere in that process, I thought, well, how am I going to define it would be really helpful if I could figure myself out. And that's when I'm a competitor. And I figured out that I competed my whole life. I competed ever since I was a little kid in everything, with my big brother in the streets, whatever. That's all I'd ever done. And so it hit me that, okay, if that's real, and it felt totally real to me, I'm totally at peace with saying that I'm a competitor, then the central theme in my program better be competition. And that's where it all started. And from that, fortunately, I called a number of schools, and they wouldn't call me back. I couldn't get anybody to interview me. And fortunately, Darryl Gross was here at USC, and he had been at the Jets, and he got Mike Garrett and whoever he had to talk to get me a chance to get interviewed. And by the time I got to that interview, I was going to kill it. And I was so ready to go. And so fortunately, not in a happy reception. The Trojan family was not real happy with Pete Carroll coming to USC at the time, and they heard about it in a big fashion. But fortunately, we had the chance to go ahead and turn this program around.
So let's talk about that, because there's the before and the after. First of all, the three rules right now of Win Forever, the three basic rules that apply to your team. Can you tell them to us?
Of course we can.
Okay, let's share those up front.
I would like to think that those that are here can remember these three rules, okay? Because this is the pillar of our program. Rule number one of the program is always protect the team. Always protect the team is way more than just those words. That's talking to the conscience that it takes to be a team member with us. And that talks directly to the mindfulness that you need to hold on to, regardless of what you're doing or where you're going. At all times, you're part of this team. And sometimes it's going to be you're going to pull a guy out of a fight. Sometimes you're going to make a decision not to hit a guy late on the practice field. Sometimes you're going to make a decision in the game field where you don't hit a guy on the sidelines and try to take it out on somebody. I mean, it goes across the board, but it's always mindfulness about that you are a member of a team and that you're always going to protect the team first. Rule number 2 is totally stolen from Coach Wooden. No whining, no complaining, no excuses. This is about self-talk. This is about the way you will present your thoughts and the way you'll act in accordance with what's going on in our program. Because self-talk is so hugely valuable when it's directed properly. And the words that we say are followed by our actions most commonly, and that's so powerful for us. So we're not going to whine. We're not going to complain. We're going to be only saying positive things that are supportive and that keep us in the right frame of mind so that we can be strongest and most powerful. And then rule number 3 is be early. Now, all you're going to, you all say, well, rule number 3 is be on time. No, it's not being on time. It's being early. Because being early is about being organized. It's about setting your priorities in order. It's about having a plan. You can't be early by luck very many times. You can sometimes, but you basically have to get organized. And it's so important for us to set things in order, and it is about respect. If you're going to show up early to a class, then that means you probably had to think about it the night before so that you would get yourself in bed with enough time, or at least set your alarm that would wake you up so that you could get where you want to go. All part of the showing respect for what that event is all about. Now you get yourself organized, you get up in the morning, you know how long it takes you. All of those thoughts are hugely important in developing this relationship with what's coming up. And so being early is a lot more than just trying to get in the door before the meeting starts. It's about having a plan and being organized and having the ability to set priorities in order to best put you in the best light. And so those are the 3 rules. That's all we got, and that's all you need.
We'll build off that.
I know Sark has 5. I can't wait to talk to him about 4 and 5.
So you talked about the opportunity at USC, and the mark of a great entrepreneur or anybody is starts with a vision and recognizing opportunity, seeing something special where others see problems. So let's just give you a picture of USC before you arrived. In the 80s and 90s, USC finished in the top 10 once. During one stretch, Notre Dame went 14-3-1 against the Trojans, including an unbearable 11 straight.
Oh, that hurts.
At the same time, UCLA ran off 8 consecutive wins against the Trojans.
Can you imagine?
The team was barely above 500 in the 5 years before you took over. You were the 6th head coach in 18 years. USC football was a mess. Our spirit was broken. What did you see when you applied for the job?
Let me take you a step before that, okay? I ran into the coach that was here before me on campus when my daughter Jamie was visiting campus to see if she wanted to go to SC. And he said, we're old friends, and he called me up to his office and brought me up to his office and said, I got to show you something. He opens up the middle drawer of his office. First off, all the windows were dark and closed and all that. And he opened up the drawer and he showed me, look, here, look at this. Here's the 20 reasons why you can't win at USC. Whoa, so I went through it with him and all that. And not to take a shot at anybody, but that was the vision for the program. Academics were tough. Oregon and Washington had taken over. It'll never be the same. The stadium, the facilities, all of those things you could look at those as all being true. And that was before I even thought about this. I wasn't even thinking about coming to SC. I didn't know anything at the time, But I remember that now that I look at it, that was the vision for the program. And how could you ever get better than that? Well, when I came here, the first things I heard, and when in the process of getting here, people said, well, it isn't the same. And academics, and I'm telling you, some of our great alums were telling me, it's not like it used to be. And all I could think was, okay, maybe it isn't like it used to be. I don't know the truth of this, but we're going to take it as far as it can go. That's what we're going to find out. We're going to coach them. We're going to motivate them. We're going to direct this thing. We're going to take it as far as it can go, and we'll see where that is. That was. I didn't say we're going to win Pac-10 or go to the Rose Bowls or any of that kind of stuff. That wasn't the thought. It was just let's see how far we can go if we get as good as we can possibly get. And that's what started. And so at the time, to set the direction of the program once I got the job, it was really to own the Rose Bowl to me. That's what this program needed to do. It had done it in the past, and I thought that was the right vision to hold on to. It wasn't being the number 1 team in the country, and it wasn't even really the Pac-10. It was really, the Pac-10. It was just about setting the sights on something that was much more than 1 year. much more than one ring, much more than one flag that you wave as a championship, and see if we could put that in motion. And so we fortunately put it. There's a big old sign as you come off the practice field, and there it was, on the Rose Bowl. And that's what we set out to do. And I knew that to do that, you probably have to win the conference, and you're going to have to do some great things to get that done. And that's really where the direction was set. And so we just took it over and went after it.
And things turned around pretty quickly, second and third year. Can you talk about the precise turning point in the program when you made a very famous proclamation?
Yeah, there was a game. We were, these stories are fun, but I can't tell you all the stories, but we're playing Arizona, and I don't know what the record was at the time. It might have been 2-4 or something like 2-5, maybe 2-5. And we I'll tell you a little bit about it. We drive into Arizona, and Carson Palmer was our starting quarterback. That week, I talked to Matt Lyon. I said, Matt, you may get a chance to start this week. It might be time to make a change, so I want you to prepare and get ready and all that. So as Matt was all excited about it, he told his dad gets in the car and he's driving to Arizona, he's going to come to the game and he thinks he's going to start and all that. Well, we visit the stadium on Friday night before the game, and as we get off the buses, we're all going to see the locker room. It's a horrible locker room, just the worst you've ever seen. And it's about 105 at about 5 o'clock in Arizona. And our guys walk out in the field, and they are dead and gone. I mean, they're just listless. They're sitting down. There's no juice. It's just the opposite of what I visioned that it's supposed to be like. We're ready to have some fun. We run around on the game field, and then we get out of there. I couldn't get us back on the buses fast enough. We get back to the hotel, and if the coaches were here, they would remember. I got them together, and I said, I don't care what you do, but tonight, in tonight's meeting, you tell them the most emotional story you can possibly. I don't care if you make it up, true, it doesn't matter. You tell them whatever you got to tell these guys, because we're going to get killed the way we're going into this night. So guys told stories. Guys are crying. There's some of the most heart-rending things you've ever heard. I don't think half of them are true, but we tried our butts off. We lost to Oregon on a last-second field goal, I think. We had lost to Washington right at the end, our 2 Pac-10 games at the time or whatever it was. We're playing this game against Arizona, and we're winning. We're up ahead. We're doing okay. And they start mounting the comeback. And they're starting to come, and you can feel it happening. The momentum has shifted. It looks like they're going to get back in the game, and for all the luck in the world, their quarterback stands up and throws the ball in the flat, and Chris Richard, our corner at the time, steps in front, picks it off, runs it back about 60, 70 yards. He can remember every step of that return because I've made him remember it. So, and we go on, and you could tell that was the play we needed to win the football game. And so we get back in the locker room, and after that, there for whatever reason, in the crappy little locker room in Arizona, we're all jammed in there. We're really excited about it. Everybody was drained, and it was a great night. I said to him, up until this point, we didn't know. We didn't know. But from now on, we don't have to lose another game. And we had lost 5 already at that time. So you look at it, we don't lose very many games from that point forward, because from that point, there no longer had to be something that other than a winning football program. And it was a really cool moment. And it was, in our little story and little lore, that was really the moment when it turned around.
And after that, you didn't lose much. Yeah. 2 national championships, 3 Heismans, 34-game winning streak, 7 BCS bowl games, and it just was, yeah, we'll never get tired of saying that. Okay. So it's, let's talk about talent. The USC stuff we could talk about all night. We don't have enough time to cover sort of game-by-game analysis, which we'd love to do. You look for and recognize great people, right? What do you look for in people? And if you the book Good to Great, I think you're a Michael Collins fan. Get the right people on the bus first, right? Mm-hmm. Before players, let's talk about someone near and dear to you. Your voice, your thumbs. Your right hand man. Is he going to come out right now? Is he? Well, no. Let's bring out USC alum, Daily Trojan staffer, and former walk-on to the USC football team. Let's bring out Ben Malcolmson. Ben.
Yeah.
You all may recognize Ben fresh off his New York Times article on this is Virtual Pete. What did you see? So, Ben, when did you graduate from SC?
Hey, Ben, you didn't have to dress up for the night. Jeez.
I was waiting for that comment. He usually has a joke when he sees a shirt that he doesn't like. Hey, I don't have anything that matches with that shirt either.
That's right. That's right. That's my favorite.
I stole your line.
Good to have you here.
What year did you graduate?
2007.
2007. Also created. What did you create while you were here that you're famous for?
We did a little blog called USCripsit.com, and kind of took off, and it was at the same time as social media took off. So, Coach Carroll, Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff.
So, what year did you graduate again?
2007.
2007. So you're here until 2010. You get a call. What did you see in this guy that made you say he should be with you in Seattle?
Well, it goes way back. It's a great story that Ben was a journalism student here, and we put out a kind of an all-call for tryouts, and so Ben was a little bit better than the other guys, and really caught the ball nicely, ran pretty well and all that. So, and I knew he was a journalism student. You were doing an article, right, to follow what it would be like to try out with the Trojans, and so I said, what the heck, okay, why don't you stay with us, and come on out for the football team and be on it. So, that kind of started the whole thing in motion, because Ben did a great job of kind of documenting that, and he did a really good job in battling and competing with us, and he hung in there and eventually got in the game and all that. So after that, we established a relationship on the USC Ripsit thing. That was a really cool thing. I don't think people realized what, at the time, I didn't know, I had no idea what we were doing, but we just wanted to do something fun, and we wanted to see what would happen, and could we control the message that was going out better than going through the media, the traditional media first. And sure enough, we found a way to do it, and we started to get some following, and people were going, and Ben was sitting there, right outside my office, and, we would just put things up kind of randomly, and one day he said, hey, there's this thing called Twitter, and like nobody ever heard of it, and I don't know how early it was, and he told me what it was. I said, oh, sure, let's do it, We would do anything at the time. We were just trying to play with the whole, with this whole realm of the social media stuff, and sure enough, he set in motion really a template for how schools do it now, and how they set up their way of using their social media that still stands. And so when we went to Seattle, sure, of course, if he would come with us, I wanted to have him come. So he's been absolutely integral to everything that we do, and in all of the communication stuff. And we've had a blast doing this, and so it's really been cool.
Oh, he's, you couldn't ask for a finer representative of your office
Awesome.
and of your team. He is the face to the outside world. He gets everything done. I don't know how you handle all the
He's
requests.
a competitor.
He and just so even keeled and professional. You just forget that he's still a young guy. Can you talk about sort of the social media part that you've built, because a lot of our businesses and students want to learn that?
Yes. So we started Coach on Twitter. His first tweet was the day Obama was inaugurated. I think the first tweet was congrats to President Obama or something like that. And now, we're 5,000 tweets later and 926,000 followers. He's the most followed coach in all of sports. He's still the most followed personality on our team. Richard Sherman's about to pass him, though, so
No way.
might have to get a little competition
Always
there.
compete.
You might need to have an interview with Aaron Andrews or something, help you out. But it's been really exciting. It's fun to do too. A lot of people, I think, when it started, everyone kind of laughed it off, like, oh, it's just what you're tweeting, what you're eating for lunch, and what you did for dinner, and it's all that stupid stuff. And it became really serious, and it became a great marketing tool. Some people kept it really serious. We've kept it really fun, and it's been awesome. So
It really has. It gave us a vehicle for getting the correct word out on issues that came up, and we would lead the media in that to make sure that we wouldn't get misrepresented, and it worked out beautifully and gave us a control that we always laughed about it. They're following us because they have to. So it was kind of cool to do that, because we could make them follow us, because you never knew when an announcement was going to come out or something was going to be of significance. So it just became kind of a game, and we had fun with it.
Yeah, to be able to have a direct conversation with your fans and your followers, and
Sure.
and to be able to trust someone so completely that he is your voice. I know that
it works great. Really, honestly, I have tweeted numbers of times, but basically I don't. Ben, hey, let's put this little thing out here. Who's this guy Macklemore? And that was kind of how that one started too. And so he's been absolutely trustworthy to the nth degree, and it's been a great relationship.
Do you want to add something?
do you want to tweet now?
You want to tweet something now directly from Pete Carroll?
Yeah, we can. Let's
do
put
it right
out
now.
the-
Do it right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
really quickly. So Ben's so busy that he's got to run to another engagement. So he's going to tweet.
You want to have a little play in this? Go ahead.
Well, do you want to get the audience? What do you want
Well,
to do?
unless you light up the audience. Can you light up the audience for Ben so we can tweet this to their 1 million followers?
926,000.
9:26, yeah. Light up the audience. There you go.
Everyone
There
say
you
hi.
Come on, that's a little bit, yeah, there you go.
Fight on, fight on. There you go. Fight on.
Cool.
Boulevard crowd, there we go.
Yeah.
Having fun. Hey, this is a lot better than going to class, isn't it? Jeez.
This is class for some of them.
Oh, sorry.
So just before you go, Ben, quick word on sort of, what are the things, I'm sure there's a lot, but what have you learned from Pete that you really, has sort of shaped your philosophy?
It's a big moment right here.
Yeah.
Big, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing for me is finding your identity, finding who you are, what you stand for. And it's a journey, especially like college time. Like that's such a huge journey that you all are on, trying to figure out who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in. You can go a million different directions, but the sooner you find that out, the more successful you'll be, the stronger you'll be. It's an amazing thing when you figure out who you are. It's a journey for all of us, and it definitely takes time, takes effort, but that's the biggest thing. And then also too, I think you've talked a little bit about it, but just creating value. Coach gave me an amazing opportunity 7 years ago now. He said, I need a website. Let's create a website. And gave me opportunity to create value for the university, for the football team, for myself. And it's just been incredible. So something I'll take with me the rest of my life, for sure.
It's great having you back. It's great welcoming back. Let's hear it for Ben Malcolmson. Ben. Great job.
Feel good story.
He's a sharp guy.
He's awesome.
He's a sharp guy. He gets stuff done.
Self-made.
So let's talk about developing other players and creating a vision for them. Give us an example. Russell Wilson, not your prototypical quarterback. Matter of fact, you named him a starter shortly after Seattle signed a big contract with somebody else.
Yeah.
So talk about how you developed the vision for him and with him.
Well, let me say in general first, and then come back, because I think if you're visiting with us on this night, I want to make sure we hammer this home, that there's tremendous power in vision. There's tremendous power. When you decide that you are going to create a vision of how you're going to spend these 5 years or 4 years in college, and you clearly define what that is, as soon as you make that declaration, it's already on its way to happening. It's that powerful. But the practice of staying in connection with that vision and competing to stay on track with what you had set out for you is what guarantees that you're going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Well, that thought is so all-encompassing to me that everybody we deal with is dealt with in that manner. We deal with, whether it's Russell or whether it's John Snyder, the general manager, we created an absolute clear-cut vision that we were going to have the best relationship in professional sports. And we were going to prove that by working to get that worked out. And I said, John, I'm hoping that this is going to be a famous relationship someday. This is the first night we're talking. And so, and from then, it was my job. I didn't put it on him. It was my job to make that come true. So I was going to reinforce him. I was going to support him. I was going to learn who he was, figure out what was important to him, and do everything I could to make him as strong and powerful as he could possibly be. He's going to be arguably the number one GM, in the NFL, and that puts him in the professional sport. I mean, that it's happened. It's happened. Now, I didn't do that. He did that. He's the one that did it. But we collaborated in making this relationship one that would foster that to come to life. So before you talk about Russell or any of the guys, I just want to make that really clear to you how powerful a tool this is. It is as real as it can get. This is not airy-fairy self-help BS. This is the real deal because there's a real mechanism to it, and you have to act in accordance with it, and you make it happen. You make it happen. So when you pick a guy, Russell Wilson is such an amazing person that he already walks in with vision and insight and knowing himself and all of these marvelous things. You just got to kind of get out of his way and give him the opportunity to show the world what he's all about. I know it came off like one of the huge decisions and all this, and we went against, I love the fact that we went against conventional wisdom. That was cool. Conventional wisdom says you don't play a 5'10" guy. You don't even draft him. You don't even give him a chance. And so, I'm sorry, Russ, 5'11". And that all came about because John had vision for this kid, that this guy was really unique and special. He showed him to me. I latched onto it, and we rode this thing all the way through the process until we got him to come to our program. Can you imagine the guy picks out of the hat on draft day, 32 names in the hat. He picks out the Seattle Seahawks, and we draft him 3 rounds later. How did that happen? I have no idea, but that happened. That was real. And he has become everything that he already knew was going to happen. Russell knew he was going to win world championships. He's told us this is the best decision you've ever made on the first phone call we're talking to him. He knew. So he's not a great example he's just the best example also. But let me take a little further. All we did was to support him. And how you do that is you have to dig in to figure out who that person is and find out what's important to them, things that they might not even have surfaced themselves. You try to bring out. It's what Ben talked about, finding yourself. This self-discovery process is so huge. I was doing it after the Blue Book, writing all that stuff down. That's when I finally did it. It took me 30, 40 years, whatever it was, 40-something years of my life to get to that point. It doesn't need to take you that long. You can do this sooner, but you got to do the work.
That's right.
And you got to figure it out. It ain't easy. It's not easy at all. It's very challenging. But we'll talk about it later. We can get that done. But here's the cool thing about it. The vision just doesn't apply just to the one person. You can apply it to your team, to a whole body. Treat your whole team as, who are we? You study them, you figure them out, you come to a sense of that you can describe and explain and define them, and then you get them to talk about it. We go through this process of figuring out, what are we, what can we possibly be? And now, as soon as you get to where they all go, oh, all right, yeah, we can do that, you're rolling. It's already going. You can't even stop it from happening. Now the job is to coach them into staying in connection with that vision as directly and succinctly and precisely as you can. So when people think this whole thing is airy-fairy and have fun and the soft and fuzzy and all that, they don't get it. They don't understand. This is a hard, disciplined a regimen to undertake to become all you can possibly be. But it's so freaking powerful because we just did it again. You saw it happen when we played Oklahoma. I'll take you back. The night before the Oklahoma game, I know Sark's here, and we had won every game. We're number 1 team in the country the whole year. I don't know how many games we'd won in a row, but Oklahoma was the number 2 team in the country the whole season, slated as the biggest matchup in the history of college football and all that. The night before the game, we're talking to the players. I'm saying, I can't think of what I'm going to talk to them that night. This is a cool little story. I don't. What am I going? What's worthy of this night? How can I have a big night before the game meeting and get them all fired up? I don't know what could possibly be worthy. So I said, I'm just going to tell them what's happened. Let me just take them back and walk them through it. From the first moment we ever met, we said we're going to figure out how we can be the best we can possibly be. That's what this program's all about. And from this point forward, that's where we're going for. Well, here we are on the night, the eve of the biggest college football game in history ever, or whatever. Who cares what? That's what the writers are saying. But that's what they're saying. So what we have done is we have taken a vision of being the best we could possibly be, and we've seen it all the way through to the point where here we are on the precipice of this game, and we already know we're going to win. We just don't know who's going to score the touchdowns. We don't know who's going to get the storylines. Where's it going to come from? We know we're going to win. So let's capture the fact that what we had done is we had started with creating a vision, seen it all the way through, and nobody backed off until we stand right here this night before this game. And then let's go, and I was hoping it was going to come through, of course. But let's go play the game now. And let's let it rip and hold nothing back. Well, it was about the same Saturday night before February 2nd. It wasn't any different. It was the same story. It happened again. So maybe, I don't know how many times it has to happen before you believe it and you figure it to be real, but I'm a believer. I'm following it because it's happening. And it happened again.
And you saw the similarities in the run. You saw the similarities in the demeanor of the team. When we saw your team, on the walkthrough before the NFC Championship game, you're just looking at them. The moment wasn't too big. It was business as usual. You ran your practice exactly the same way, whether it was the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. And you looked at them, and they never got too pumped up. They never sort of let the moment get them. And you just felt like this may not be close if it sort of turns out like the SC thing. But the tools that you talk,
huh?
well, I didn't say you knew it, but I was watching it, and you were nice enough to let us sort of observe it, and it looked exactly the same. But the tools you talk about, in order to do this work, it is not easy. You sort of eliminating the limiting beliefs and aligning your beliefs with your attitudes and habits and actions, and constantly reevaluating and being mindful of self-talk, all those things. Lou Tice, Pete Carroll type of philosophy, and you really have to watch yourself, and you do need outside people to remind you because you're probably your worst critic sometimes.
You know, I think it's worth mentioning that you really can, and as you guys go on in the business people, and that y'all are going to be running businesses and in charge of stuff and all of that, you really can. You can design the culture of your workplace. You can totally design it. You got to think it through. You got to figure out what you want it to be. But you can, in the same exact sense, create the vision of how you want that to be, and put together an environment that fosters success and achievement and accomplishment and support and empowerment, and all. You can do that. You can absolutely create it. It's alive and well in the Northwest right now, you know, and it's really proud of that. Really proud to prove it again on this level, and that's why this was such a great challenge. It was why it was a challenge that I couldn't pass up. It was why, if given this opportunity, and you could come through and do it, it would be the best thing we could have done.
Yeah, and in order to do it, I mean, you just think of the amount of work to do it for a team, and then you also spend the individual time with each player and each coach to make sure they're developing. So you need great coaches to get the word out and to reinforce with the players. So many of your assistant coaches have gone on to head coaching jobs, and you love when you help develop that. You compete like hell when they want to leave. Let's talk to one of them that is also a head coach. Can we please welcome current USC head coach Steve Sarkisian. Steve. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Got to win more games, Coach.
That's okay. You're my hero.
Welcome, Sark. It's
Thank you.
It's great to have you here and continuing this great tradition. You talk about sort of some of the things that maybe you developed when you were an assistant coach at Pete that you've helped maybe build into your philosophy.
Wow. I don't know.
You can say hi
That's a lot.
first. You can
That's
say
a lot. I will say there's one moment that stands out to me first and foremost. And we talk about the 34-game winning streak and all that. I remember the night that streak got broken. We were in Corvallis, Oregon, and we lost a really tough ball game there. Right there at the end, it was 33-31, and the offense had 5 turnovers in that game. And I felt miserable, right, as the guy working with the offense, and that didn't go well. And as soon as we got into that coach's locker room, and it's one of the more crummy locker rooms in our conference, it's about on par with Arizona, Coach came right up to me and said, Sark, this is what I'm going to say to the team. This is how I'm going to say it. This is the stuff I'm going to focus on, and this is how I'm going to bring it back. And he had been preparing for this speech for probably, I don't know, Coach, how long? I mean,
I don't know how many. Where do you think you're going to win 30-something games?
Yeah,
in
I
a row?
know. You know,
So
that speech has just been over and over.
working on it.
The speech gets done. I'm still feeling crummy. He comes right back to me in my locker again to talk more about why he said what he said, how he built the team up at the end. And I think that was just indicative of the preparation that this guy puts into place. You know, I think so many times we see all the smiles and the hugs and him having fun, which is an unbelievable mannerism in who he is as a person. But there is a lot of hard work in there. There is a lot of dedication. There's so much preparation. There's so much contingency planning that takes place, and he was prepared for every moment for whatever was around the corner. He's always expecting something good around the corner to be there, but for whatever might be there. I think that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the preparation so that you develop the knowing that you're worthy of winning, that you're worthy of being successful, that you're worthy of being in a position of having that belief, of having that confidence, of knowing you're in that position to be successful. So I thought that was a really cool moment for me as a young coach who I had countless talks with him, but that one really stood out to me.
And what did you see in this young man that made you put him in charge of the offense and calling plays at USC?
He was really a good computer salesman or something. Everywhere. I don't know what you were doing before, but it wasn't ball, but it was his agile mind and ability to think freely and openly, clarity with people, to understand people and who they are and what they're all about. Very flexible. You know, and his makeup is he can handle all situations. He never feels uncomfortable. You know, the fact that he was a great quarterback in college and a big-time baseball player and all that's growing up, all of those things added to it. But he had a real global sense of handling situations that separated him from other people. Not everybody can do that and think that way, and Sark's great at it. And so I never thought, I mean, from early on, I tried to get the administration here to guarantee that he would be the next coach when I was leaving, if I got kicked out of here or whatever. And because I saw it that early in him, and so I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled that you have this opportunity because he gets it. He knows what SC is all about. He knows what it is to work in Southern California, and he understands the landscape of this conference in college football, and he's going to do a great job. And I don't have any doubt in saying that.
Coach?
So, and we can already see that you're off to a great start. You had a great, recruiting season.
Heck yeah, man.
Great people coming. Congratulations.
Knocked him in the boat. It was awesome.
But the flip side of college players maybe versus pros is, younger, and the challenge is that they're younger, but the advantage is that they're younger and maybe more pliable. I don't know if you say that, but what's been your experience so far? You've been in the job for a few months.
Well, I think this. I was listening to Coach back there, and it's been an amazing ride so far, up into 3 months on the job. One thing that we've really tried to shift culturally in the minds of our players, our coaches, the people on this campus, our administration, I think so much of the focus for the past 3 years has been on the sanctions. Our numbers aren't as much as everybody else's. A little bit of the woe is me. And when you paint that picture and that's the talk, ultimately your image that you create, that becomes you. And so we've really tried to make it a point that it's not about the 70 scholarship players that we have. It's about how talented those 70 players are that we have and what we're really capable of doing. And I think that's been a real piece of this that I think if you talk to our players today, 3 months into it, working with our strength and conditioning staff, just really getting to know our coaches right now, that's one of the pieces. We're not dwelling on that. We're not dwelling on what we can't do, but rather what we're capable of and what we can do. And I think that's been the real big piece for us, whether it's in recruiting, putting the schemes together, developing a staff, working with the players, off-season conditioning, getting ready for spring football in about a week and a half. That's been the focus has been on what we can do, not so much what we can't do.
Well, we're
Huge.
We're so fired up to see what you guys can put together this year. You've got a lot of people behind you. We're so thrilled to have you back, and it just worked out perfectly. Welcome back, Steve Sarkisian.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, good.
Thanks for doing this, Steve. We'll see you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's so exciting. I'm so happy that everybody gets a chance to get Sark in this program. They're going to do great, and everything. It takes time. It takes a process. But he get his focus about always what you can become, and that's exactly what you want to be focusing on, I think.
Yeah, you've also developed, in addition to coaches that you've developed, players that may not otherwise have attracted attention from other teams and other coaches. You seem to find not just the gems, but you work with them and develop them. And someone who is very unique. Can you tell us, even though he went to a school that wears baby blue and pastel gold, can you tell us why we should know and love Derek Coleman?
Yeah. I don't know if everybody knows the story, but Derek at age 3 lost his hearing, and we recruited him. I think Troy High School, and I went and saw him, and I wanted to make him a fullback, and he didn't want to do it, and so he's a fullback now. So he went to UCLA and had a nice career there. But let me tell you, this is an extraordinary kid, and let me tell you why. Okay, he came into our program. Of course, I wouldn't think that why couldn't he do it? And I think maybe this would make him more unique and more special. So let's go ahead and give him a chance. He came in, did a great job, battling and competing in the program, and made himself a spot. And I liked him and thought the world of him, like many of our players. But not until during this season, on a Saturday, the Saturday walkthrough that you've been to before. We always have some kids or some people come through. And I happened to be shaking hands with a family and this one deaf young man, probably about a 13-year-old kid. And I said, well, he's got to meet Derek. Derek, come on over here and talk to this guy, And so I just happened to be standing there. The mom says, this has really been difficult on the young man, her boy, and he hasn't been able to really ever get comfortable in the school setting, and he wants to play sports and all that. Is there anything you could tell him? And Derek immediately went to, here's what I want you to do. You go to the team that you're playing for, and you ask the coach if you can talk to the team. And it's going to be hard, but just do this. Just say to the team, I'm deaf. I can't hear everything, but I can read lips, and I can communicate. Sometimes I may need your help a little bit, and that's it. And that kid's eyes just opened up and that, I mean, to think that moment, the kid looked up at his mom, looked up at Derek, and gave him a big hug, that Derek had handed to this kid probably the tools that's going to help him make it through his life and be successful. He's no longer going to be afraid to say that he's a deaf kid and that he's different than somebody else. This is who I am, and so there's going to be a time I may need to ask you to repeat something. And we've gotten letters from the family and the whole thing. And that's Derek, and he is, he's going to be an extraordinary force in helping a lot of kids that are otherwise, have an unfortunate issue, and he's going to help them make it not an issue.
Yeah, and
very cool.
You've done. You're also known for doing a lot of that as well. The people that you surround yourself by and program, and your involvement when you were here. We remember so many great people that you brought into the USC family. Some of them are here. I know Jake Olson and his family are here.
Jake here?
Is Jake here?
Jake, you out
Jake's
there?
Here. Jake's here. You know Jake's here.
What's up, Jake?
You know it. So,
Jake, I can see you as well as you can see me right now.
I had the pleasure of sitting.
Great that you're here, buddy.
I had the pleasure of sitting with him and his family at the Super Bowl and just insisted that they come here. But you always bring great people into the program, and we're so thankful that they're part of the USC family now. But let's talk about other things that you do with your program. We talked about core values, but we left something out that's a big part of your program. Fun, music, spontaneity. At USC, you brought in everyone from Snoop Dogg. You jumped off the high dive at the end of practice. You brought in Will a couple times for multiple roles. So
Who?
Will. Will Ferrell. So what is the role of humor? What's the role of humor? Alum.
Yeah.
But what is the importance and role of humor and fun in your program?
Well, I would think that those kids that are in your class have an idea about why we are like we are. Our players, much like your students, are in a learning setting, and they have to, they have a chance to learn, what you're giving them. And in my classroom, I want to make it one that they want to come to, and one that they don't always know what's going to happen. And it's not the old class where they roll off the mimeograph sheets and, okay, let's go through the, item 1 through 10, or whatever it is, and it's a boring drudgery of learning. To me, it's a chance to engage the learners in every way that I can. So that's really behind everything. We want to win. We want to be great. They have to learn. And so how can we make the learning environment as thriving as possible so that when they come, they're tuned in and they're turned on and they're ready. And so that's really what's been behind all of the things that we've done. But the bottom line is you play football. You don't work football. You don't make it through football. You play. And to me, the game's always been the game. And I've always wanted it to be fun. And if we're not having fun, then I'm screwing up. That's the way I've looked at it. And so it's my responsibility to find ways to make it a good time for them, and so that they enjoy being there and they look for it. Our guys want to come to the facility. They like being around what we're doing. The number one tool that I've used is competition. We compete all the time. Guys are doing stuff all the time in our program. We got right on the side of our stage that we have there's a hoop right there, and we have shoot-offs all the time. We do whatever we can think of. I do like about a 5-minute monologue at the start of our meetings, and show highlights from the day before, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the funny stuff that happens in practice, just to get them engaged. When they walk through that door, okay, what's going to happen next? And so that I got them turned on for learning. And that's really what it's all about. And then always with fun.
And so, obviously it's part of who you are, being authentic. If it's not fun, then you're doing it wrong. We had Will here in October, and
Who?
he was Will Ferrell, and he was regaling us with his athletic tales, and you were kind enough to chime in. Can you? This is one of my favorite stories. Before the Michigan Rose Bowl, can you share the story of bringing Will into practice as a surprise and just take us through that day?
It was right around his birthday. I don't remember what his birthday, but it was right around his birthday, and he was begging me to just, could I do something to be a part of the Rose Bowl or something? It's my birthday and all this. So I said, okay, we'll do something, So, so about Thursday of the week, Wednesday I think it was, I said, tomorrow, we were off school now because we're preparing for the Rose Bowl. And I said, one of the guys from the fraternities called me up and said, he can help us play. He said, he can catch a couple passes. He can help us win the Rose Bowl. And so I said to the players as honestly and straightforward as I could, we're going to let this guy have a chance. Well, heck, we want to win, so let's let this guy have a chance. So we go to practice the next day, and I said, the new guys will be coming out today. I don't know when he's going to get here. He'll be coming out. So they knew, and that was it. Didn't say anything more. They thought I was crazy, first of all, to be bringing in a new player. But as luck would have it, he was late. And so the practice had to just keep stretching the practice. And before it was over, I looked down at the far end of the field down there, and here comes one of those little carts, coming out. And there's the player all dressed up, wearing, I think, number 85, and coming out. And he's got his helmet on, his full gear, and I said, and we look at him, and they're looking, here comes the new guy, okay, we're going to put him in right now. And they couldn't quite tell whether they're all squinting at him, and he's coming out. And I said, I think that's Will Ferrell. I think that's Will Ferrell, and so I said, okay, we're in, let's go. We got a little A26 amigos. You're at the split end position. Let's go, 85. Get in and show us what you can do. And right then he gets in the huddle. Matt Leinart calls the play. Ready break. The defense is out there, and I thought, oh, God, I hope they don't hit him. And so as good luck and fortune would have it, he lines up at split end, takes off. Matt drops back, lobs the ball up there as soft as he could throw it so that he could have a chance. He's underneath it, he's falling one way, he's falling the other way, and somehow he got the ball and hung on and fell down in a circus catch for him. And it showed that lack of athleticism, that the no speed, no talent,
Oh, hold on 1 second. You know what? I was just hanging out in the hallway, and I'm like, that sounds like Pete Carroll in there. I thought I'd listen, and you're talking crap about me.
Dang.
That was an athletic catch. If you remember, I was completely underthrown, and I had to cradle it in. Right?
Please welcome USC alum Will Ferrell.
What's up, buddy?
Welcome back.
This is
What's that?
this is my Super Bowl ring.
I don't even have one.
Yeah, you don't have one yet. This is a prototype. This is what they're going to look like. I know what you're thinking. It looks like foil.
Looks like aluminum foil.
These are $48,000 a piece.
I like your hat.
Do you mind if I sit in?
Please sit down. Please sit down.
I'm not going to say a word. Continue.
Hey,
Welcome back.
I like your khakis.
These are my tight pants. You said wear my tight pants.
there you go.
Yeah.
We could go a little bit.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Good to see you. We were just talking about your athletic
What's,
exploits.
What have you been up to? How'd your team do this year?
How did we do this year?
Yeah.
Well, we won the freaking Super Bowl, dude. Where
No,
you been?
come on.
Yeah, we did.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you really think that approach, that California West Coast style, would work in the pros?
I'm the only one who did. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's congratulations, though.
I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
So do you want to
That
take
doesn't
issue?
quite fit.
You want to take issue with it? Not just the description, but you were a fine player in high school. You were a kicker,
I was a kicker.
place kicker.
No wonder. Come on. Let's kick one. Let's go. Come on, they can see it. Come on, I'll hold it for
Oh, get the house lights up. Get the house lights up. Get the house lights up so someone can catch this.
I need to.
Sidewinder, a friend Herrera. Get it up. Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
See?
Woo.
Top deck.
We're gonna need that back. We're gonna need that
That
back.
comes out of the budget, right? Yeah. Tell Hauschka I'm gunning for him.
Hauschka's scared to death now.
Yeah,
I can tell you
should
that.
be.
He's coming after him.
It took us 3 weeks to get that kick up there. I want you to know. We've been practicing.
Been here.
That's impossible.
No, the thing I always wondered, you're
Yeah.
always trying to, you always wanted to compete with me, and I kept telling you, you don't have to, we don't have to do these things. And sure enough, I know you had a little swimming in your background or something,
Right.
so we have that big one-on-one swim meet. You remember that one? We have this, we race across the pool and we come back,
Where I let you win.
And-
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm in my nice little suit, and you're in your Speedos.
Which you didn't have the guts to wear Speedos.
You're right.
You're right. Do we have a picture from that? We may have a picture of that.
See, that's the body of a kicker right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but just to let you on the inside, we go down. He's talking smack the whole time before he hit the water. We go down, and then we turn and come back, and he breaks into the breaststroke, and then it's like the backstroke or whatever. And the first thing he says when we get to the other side is, "What's my time? What's my time?" It was obviously I said
4 minutes and 37 seconds.
I said, I'm sorry, Will, that that you didn't get a chance to win. And he said, well, it was in my Speedos, it was a little too much drag.
Yeah. Well, also you can tell I didn't shave, So that's not like my trial time or anything. Yeah.
That's another 20 seconds right there, just for the body hair.
Well, no, that's like 3 minutes of drag right there. Yeah.
So you guys had some.
But that was our first competition moment right there.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah. Sorry you had to lose.
And you guys have had a great time over the years. You were a frequent contributor between Ricky Bobby and
Ricky Bobby showed up.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby
Captain
was
Compete.
Awesome. Ricky Bobby fooled me, and I didn't know that was happening.
That was a surprise.
Out of nowhere, all of a sudden we hear. I was trying to get you to come on by, and all of a sudden I hear this. We're in our team room, and you hear this motorcycle just ripping in just revving up.
Inside Heritage Hall.
And comes running in full gear, helmets on, mask down, the whole thing in the Ricky Bobby thing, which was awesome. That was great fun.
That was good.
Captain Compete.
Captain Compete, which I think I scared a lot of the players with my Captain Compete.
That was a scary moment for many of us.
Yeah.
Because Coach had asked me to show up. He kept talking about he's doing this whole compete thing with his team, and would Captain Compete? Would I want to be Captain Compete? He was like, well, what does Captain Compete wear? And he said, just figure out something. So I think I bought a child's Iron Man costume, and then once again wore a Speedo.
One thing about the Speedo,
Yeah.
when we call the whole team up, he reaches into his Speedo and pulls out these orange socks and hands them to me. And I thought, what am I going to do with this?
But for as many of the players that were laughing, there were just as many staring at me going, what are you doing? I wish we could practice as opposed to listen to you as captain.
Let me just tell you real quick what he did. We called the team up, we're about ready to call off practice, and one of our coaches goes, look, and there's a guy on the scaffold, the filming scaffold, and the guy falls off the scaffold and behind the fence, so we don't see him hit. And the players gasp, they don't know what happened. And moments after, he comes running in with the guy in his arms.
Carrying the guy.
Like he caught him. He just happened to be on the spot, and he caught him. And so, he's doing all this kind of stuff. And just then, one of the little equipment carts explodes in fire.
Right.
And you're supposed to take a bucket of water and run around and pour it, and you couldn't get the top off.
I couldn't get the top of the bucket.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to give inspirational words to the team, and I ran out of steam completely. There's only so many ways you can articulate how to compete.
He did great,
and I think I just.
Then there was one other time here we were at the Seahawks, and I don't know, we're playing Chicago or something like that, and we're having our Saturday night meeting. And we have
playing the Saints.
Was it? Oh, the Saints. Okay,
Yeah.
we're playing the Saints down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And we're having the meeting, and the doors bust open, and he comes running in. I'm the new L5 on this team, which is the guy that is the wedge breaker on the kickoff team.
It's the wedge breaker. If you're wondering, L5 is the wedge breaker.
That was a good one. Anyway, so
you've got some something happening tomorrow. Anchorman 2 being re-released, and why is this different and better than ever tomorrow?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, Friday.
Sorry.
28th.
Friday.
That's okay.
we wouldn't want anybody to show up early.
No, don't show. Yeah.
Form a
or
line.
You can.
Form a line.
Fandango.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that a ticket site?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
So what's that on Friday?
L5 Fandango. Those are the two things you want to take away from tonight's. No, we are doing something that I don't think a studio has ever done. We're re-releasing Anchorman with 753 new jokes. So we shot so much footage for Anchorman 2 that we literally have enough jokes to do an entirely new movie. This is not a joke. And even though they're new jokes, this is not a joke. So they're just going to release it in 1,000 theaters for a week, and for the real fans.
And there's a musical number right
There's
here.
a musical number in it.
Do the fans have to pay for this movie?
Yes.
They will have to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
And then also, before you go, I know you have to run. Tell us about what's happening. Craig Pollard's here with Cancer for College.
Where's
and
Craig?
you got a big event coming up Monday and Tuesday. We'll get Craig in a minute. What's happening Monday and Tuesday?
Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be out at Indian Wells, and we're going to have a golf tournament, and then a tennis exhibition on Tuesday where we'll be raising money for Cancer for College, and I'll be playing.
Who are you playing?
I'm going to be playing doubles with Novak Djokovic. Why are you laughing? And then versus Kevin Spacey and Stan Wawrinka, who just won the Australian Open. So
Kevin Spacey, huh?
if you want to blow off class and drive out to Indian Wells and watch some excellent tennis, that's the place to
I
be.
can picture you as McEnroe, kind of a little McEnroe.
I'm going to go with the
Go Sherman on him or something
Yeah.
like that. There you go.
That's semi-pro look. Before you leave, can someone get that football back to us? We need that football.
Don't
for this.
throw it at us. We can't see anything.
Just before Will goes, we're gonna get.
Hold that guy
Yeah,
up
that
there.
guy up there.
Let's go get that guy right there.
Before you
Yeah,
go,
how do I get up there?
Get your cameras ready right now. Here's your moment. Never before seen. Will strike a slow Heisman pose
Oh, I
for
got it.
everyone at USC. Get
Which
it.
hand is it?
I don't know.
There it is.
Yeah.
Get it. Tweet it. Will Ferrell, everybody.
Oh,
Will
baby.
Ferrell.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
See you, David. Stay for the end if you can. Will Ferrell. All right.
That's awesome.
We couldn't have you here without,
awesome.
you
That's
know,
so cool.
you Skyped in for his, so payback, you know what they
That's
say. So we had to bring him back. Let's talk Seahawks and Super Bowl before we open up for a few student questions.
Okay.
Let's talk about sort of what's new. You talked about the road leading to the Super Bowl and the Seahawks. The philosophy obviously does work in the pros. It translates. And as evidence of that, there was a recent poll before the Super Bowl, not after the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl, that asked all NFL players which head coach would they like to play for the most. And you were the overwhelming choice of that. So Pete is...
I don't know what that. Other than free agency, I don't know what that gets you. It might help us a little bit.
You're car keys.
Now, the rest of the time we're here, we think he's going to walk out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's totally got us. Where were we?
So we're talking about that all the players want to play for you, but let's talk about before we talk about what's new. I want to talk about the 12th man and the bond that you've built, not with just this city and this region. I went to.
We got a couple 12s in the house.
There are a lot of 12. There are a lot of 12. And I'll tell you, I've never seen anything like it. For the NFC Championship game, and anyone who's been to Seattle, they've got this beautiful stadium that's walking distance from downtown. So you leave your hotel, walk to the game, walk through Pioneer Square, and on the way back, it was a nonstop line of people in the bars and the restaurants, high-fiving, hugging each other. It was like the end of the war. Remember the pictures of people dipping people and kissing girls and everything? It is an unbelievable thing that you've built. Can you talk about the importance of that bond and how you've cultivated that?
Well, it had already been long started. It was underway before we got there. They had the King Dome back in the day, which was a great venue to play. When you played the Huskies, I know that the Huskies stadium was always crazy and loud, and it shouldn't have been because it was all spread out. Now to be redone and fixed and all, but there was always a spirit about him. And our owner, Paul Allen had connected. He had made a tremendous decision being of the area. He wanted to celebrate the fans. And years ago, he started raising the 12th man flag in honor of the fans just prior to the opening kickoff and recognizing the 12s and all of that. And so there was already a relationship started. But one of the things, to me, I felt like connecting with the following is another way to engage the supportive elements of our team. And just like when we spent so much time getting on the road and, and getting out to meet our fans here at SC and to hang with them and meet them and bring them into the program, I felt like that's another added advantage if you do it well. They know the language, they know how you talk, they support you properly, they can go with you when things aren't as good, and they can jump up and down when things are good, when things are really going well. So I thought it was another way to help us win. Anyway, so we've had, events to celebrate them, and we've done everything we can with the fans to do that, and they've done an amazing job. And the end of it was at least 700,000 people turned out in the streets of Seattle for the parade a couple days after the game. It was the most heartwarming, spirited love fest that you could ever imagine. Nobody got in trouble, peaceful as can be, perfectly handled. Kids left school, the whole thing. It was awesome. It was exactly what you want. So. I did get in trouble for saying that.
You said that.
Yeah,
you said they should close the schools, shouldn't they?
Close the schools down, and so all the kids that let out, I had to write them a note. So it's just an amazing environment, and we broke a world record for the loudest crowd, anywhere. And I don't know, it's like the flux capacitor little unit that they use to measure that, so I'm not quite sure how that worked. But
and you registered on the Richter scale.
Yeah, there's some of all that stuff. So there's some lore. There's some lore to this whole relationship. It's very, very powerful.
And that city, I mean, when I went up there for the NFC Championship game, I mean, they had construction signs, the flashing signs that say construction or detour. They said, danger, Russell Wilson. They said, when we went to board after the game, gotta love Alaska Airlines, the announcement comes over, we are now pre-boarding all those with number 3 Russell Wilson jerseys, followed by anyone in Seahawks gear. And it was for real. And I'm sitting next to a guy waiting to board, and he's in a Kaepernick jersey, and just turned to him like, you're probably gonna get bumped. But that city is just in love with the Seahawks, and
it's a marvelous relationship.
It's something that you've really built. Final question before we open up for a few student questions is, what's new? What are you learning that you can sort of add on to the latest?
Well, you either compete or you're not, and so we're always looking, and you might think that we feel like we've got it made and we've got it all wired and all that, but that really wouldn't be competing. And just for instance, in this off season, something I cranked on a TED Talks and found this woman was talking to a woman named Angela Duckworth, Dr. Duckworth, and she was talking about something that really, I didn't hear the start of it, I didn't hear the introduction, I don't know how it happened, but I was listening to partway through it, and she was talking about a thing called grit. And I think it's worth mentioning to the students that are out there. There's some stuff here that's really, really crucial as you develop to become what you're going to become. And what she was talking about was the most successful quality that a person could have, not intelligence, not a million other things, not where they come from, not their background, any of that stuff, was grit. And grit is defined as passion, perseverance, the ability to stay on task, positive, relentless, those type of words in accomplishing their tasks, good finishers, and as he was talking about that and the perseverance and the passion, I'm thinking that's what we're trying to develop that. And she gets right to the end of the speech and she says, but we haven't found the way to cultivate grit. And what are you talking? And that was the end of her talk, and TED Talks. And just kind of like she's going on like grit, this great thing, and you're going to tell us how to do it. And she says, but we have in the laboratory, and she's a scientist, we haven't found the ways to cultivate grit. And so Ben, let's find this lady. Let's get her on the phone. And so within about 15 minutes, we got Angela Duckworth on the phone. And so I said, why did you say that? Why did you let everybody off the hook? We're talking about this marvelous quality that people could have and develop towards them, adding to their success in their careers and whatever. And she said, well, we can't prove it. And I said, well, come out and watch us. Because all we do is try to help people be great competitors. That's what we're trying to do. And we've been teaching competitiveness for a long time and developing it and watching the story after story of people change. She just didn't have our laboratory. She didn't have the environment that we had to do it in. And so that was such a powerful thought to me that we really went after this whole thought about grit. We studied and we worked at it, and it became just a reinforcement to what we already knew as competitiveness. Let me help you with something. You hear me, we said compete 1,000 times already tonight. You may think that the definition of competition has to do with striving against something. That's probably, you think of it as us against the Broncos, or you think of it as you against the other person. That's a pretty traditional, updated, I think, thought of what competition is. And a lot of people think that competition, that's such a becoming thing. You know, you're too competitive, you push too much, you're pushy, all that kind of stuff. That's not our definition of competition. To us, it's striving for something, which is really the old Greek definition of the word compete, as I've been told. And the striving for is all the difference in the world. So what we're competing is to be the best we can be. What we're competing is to have as much fun as we can possibly have. It's for, not against. In our program, and again, we champion competitive opportunities and moments and illustrations always. Somebody does win and somebody does lose, but that's not what it's about to us. It's about working to become the best you can be. And if you can picture it, if you can picture like our nose tackle, Brandon Meebane, going against our center, Max Unger, every day in practice, day after day, and we set up drills where they have to go against each other and they pass rush and work against each other. If you thought of it about who was winning and who was losing, you'd miss the whole point. You see, Brandon Meebane makes Max Unger by the way he works him and challenges him. And Max makes Brandon Meebane by forcing him to be better, or he gets his ass kicked day after day. And they don't want that to happen. And it's really the guy across from us that makes us who we are. And so if I didn't talk about it, they wouldn't know that. They'd think about it as just trying, I got to win, I got to lose. They would know that. But we talk about it enough, and they come to an appreciation of why they compete. They're competing to be the best they can. And those guys across from them are the ones that make them, so they love that guy across from them. They have an ongoing relationship with that person because I know that you're making me perform at my best. And there's such depth to when that bond is finally understood. And guys don't understand it right away. They don't get it. But in time, we work our way through it. And really what we're doing is we're just trying to make them more gritty. We're trying to teach them how to persevere. We're trying to illustrate to them how they can demonstrate more passion. Let me give you a first-hand example. For those of you that follow us, you may know that Earl Thomas is a great free safety. He's one of the best guys in the NFL. He's a great player. He is the most competitive, gritty guy you could ever imagine. He is never not on. He's always on. And he pushes and practices with marvelous intensity, focuses, studies, does everything. We have a player playing corner that you've heard of the Legion of Boom. Okay, well, there you go. LOB. Okay, LOB really was these four guys that came together. Brandon Browner got suspended, went off the reservation, got screwed up, and no longer with us. Well, where's the LOB going to be now? Well, this young guy named Byron Maxwell, a guy that we drafted in the 5th round from Clemson, was a happy-go-lucky, easygoing guy, nice athlete, nice performer, tough guy and all that, but just was kind of going along with the flow for his first 2 years with us. But something happened. He finally saw Earl Thomas. He'd been practicing with him for over almost 2 years. And then one day, he finally recognized who Earl Thomas was. Earl was just being Earl. And he decided, I see where he is. He's at the top of his game. And he demonstrates in so many different ways what he's all about, and that he competes and battles and does everything exactly the way we'd hope him to do it. Byron just kind of started following Earl around. And he started eating better. Earl, impeccable nutritionist. He found out about how he could develop better sleep habits. He came to the meeting rooms early with Earl and started and if you noticed in our run this season, Byron Maxwell played like an all-pro, extraordinary football player through the finish of our season, came off the bench to do that and played as a great competitor plays with true grit. He got beat in the game, comes right back, makes an interception right after. He got beat in the Niner game down there, comes right back, makes an interception next year. Unbelievable connected athlete. because he became gritty. He became the great competitor. He was just one of the fellas for a while. So, and it happens in so many varying degrees. And here's the point. As you go through your challenges here at school and as you come upon them, this thing about grit's real. And it is about competing. And it is about pushing yourself. It is about striving to be at your best. And what's really exciting about this is nobody else controls this but you. You are in control of this. You are the one that has the power to make yourself as valuable as you can be. You see, you have this opportunity to create your own value here in the classroom, here in your fraternity, at your dorm. As you get your jobs and have your opportunity, there's a lot of kids graduating from schools that are complaining about there's not enough good jobs. Well, you know what I say about them? They don't get it. They don't understand. It isn't about the quality of the job. It's about the quality of the job you do. You see, you are the one that goes into that workplace, regardless of where you start, and shows to them that they can't operate without you because you work too hard, because you care too much, because you're going to do the little things. You're going to do the extra job that somebody else wouldn't do. Bill Russell, a wonderful basketball player who's visited with us, lives in the Seattle area, learned it from his father. He said, you're going to do $3 work for a $2 job. That's the idea. And that's creating and being in control of your own destiny and your own future. So it is what we have come here to, when we shared with the students here, is to try and tap into. We think we have something to teach you that you're not getting taught in a lot of other classes. And we are looking for this opportunity to share this idea with that you have marvelous talent and marvelous ability that goes somewhat untapped sometimes. And sometimes you're just not ready for it, and that's okay. But when you are ready, and you are ready to go ahead and battle, let's get a little more gritty. Let's compete a little bit at what you're doing. Let's take control of your world. Nobody else controls your value. You do. And if you embrace that, man, there ain't nothing can stop you. There ain't nothing that can stop you. So that's how we continue to learn.
Take a couple questions.
Sure.
We're gonna take a couple questions from students, current students. My class would be great.
Up to do this.
Thank you so much for coming to campus. I think a lot of people may not be aware of the picture that was taken with you and Will Ferrell was taken at a Swim with Mike event. Could you talk a little bit about what Swim with Mike means to you, about your involvement? I'd like to close by saying we would love to see you there April 5th.
Right. Thanks, appreciate it. Really, as I understand, Swim with Mike was an event that started a long time ago, an idea that started a long time ago to give kids a chance to get to school that might not have got the opportunity otherwise. They had some kind of circumstance that set their life down an unpredictable road, and this scholarship effort seeks out special stories and special people to give them an opportunity to do extraordinary things. And so we've had a chance to contribute. You know, as you saw Will, and we've all done it over the years, and I don't know what you know about it, but it's a marvelous program. Jakey, are you part of that program? Jakey, you going to get to school here someday? There you go, Jake. I hear you, brother. You're going to be a Trojan, too. He is one of those guys. It's just a marvelous program, so it was great to be part of it. And we'll try to get down here. Thank you.
All right, next question.
Hi, Coach. Thank you so much for coming down to USC tonight. My name's Donish, and my question for you is, out of all the accomplishments that you have had throughout your career, what are you most proud of?
Well, I'm most proud of my family, first off, and I take that as a real accomplishment. And I'm most proud of the wonderful wife I have, Glenn. Where's Glenn tonight? Hey, baby. Most proud. But I will say this. Let me say one other thing I will add to that in terms of the work stuff that we do, I'm most proud that we were able to do what we did here at SC and go up and show that we had something that was of value in the NFL. Really proud of that. Yeah. In the same fashion. What do we got? Hey.
Hi, Pete. My name is Merhowie.
What is your name?
Merhowie.
Merhowie. Cool.
Yeah. I want to say, wow. First of all, thank you for.
I would just say Merhowie.
Tweet it. Tweet it. I want to begin. Oh, actually, well, I was gonna say, you know, you made it when someone is absolutely nervous about making sure that the one time they ask you a question is like perfect. So all this preparation right here just to make sure it's perfect. So you made it, sir. You talked about those kids whose mentalities are either, I'm going to jail or I'm going to die. I grew up in Berkeley, California, which is not far from Oakland, where Marshawn is from. And Marshawn made it because of football, but I see a lot of guys, and I know his little brother as well, but I know a lot of guys who haven't made it and sort of had that mentality. And my question for you is, football in particular, the NFL are sort of great creations, for lack of a better word, and they deserve a lot of the attention they get. But sort of, there are other issues that seem more pressing that don't sort of get that national attention, and in daily conversation on the news, however you think about it. I was curious, what responsibility, if any, do you think?
This will be the longest question of the night, Howard.
I'm sorry. I had to set it up. What responsibility, if any, do you believe that people with large followings, so like yourself, your players, celebrities in general, have in sort of redirecting some of that attention that they get towards these issues?
Perfect.
And if any, how do you try to instill that in your players?
Okay. By far the best question of the night. Let's hear from her, Howie. Way to go. Well, I stumbled into it. I really stumbled into it just because I was moved by a situation that happened, in getting involved. I didn't know. At the time, I never even thought that I would have an ability to get people to come together or to make any kind of headway at all for a cause. And as our guys at Better LA and PCI guys that are here that do this marvelous work in the community, at the time, I didn't even know they existed. But I did discover it, that a lot of people showed up when we called a meeting. I got in all kinds of trouble on campus because I didn't ask anybody for permission. We just did it, and people were coming in. We had no security, nothing. We had Congress people and mayors and all kinds of people showed up somehow. But I found out that there was an ability to convene and ability to facilitate somewhat. So I've just pursued that as we have, and we've done Better LA here, and we've done a Better Seattle up in Seattle, and have some things going. We're just a small part of that great cause, but I hope everybody realizes that there is an opportunity to give. There is an opportunity to give back, and people give in their own special ways. And in our sense, we found a way to connect and try to help and do something positive. But we need more people helping and giving. There's so many great opportunities, and you can give in so many different ways. And it isn't about the money; it's about really giving of your heart. So that's really where it comes from. I hope other people will do the same. Thanks. All right, man, Howie. Everybody.
A question over here.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach. My name is Jackson. Thank you so much for coming. So much of what you said has been so great and inspiring.
Cool.
This being an entrepreneurship class, my question is there a risk that you've taken that you would really consider to be influential, or the biggest risk that you've taken that you could speak a little bit about, and how it's impacted your life, your decisions, your philosophy?
Yeah, well, I think, I've lived on the edge of risk throughout this coaching business because, you lose your job so quickly, and, you're living on the edge of this thing, and it's the risk that we took is to drag your family all over the country. How many times did we move, Glennie? 14 times, move the family all over the country to do this. You risk everything by doing that, and that was part of it. But I think if there is the biggest risk that I personally took, I was helped through by really George Seifert, the coach that was at the 49ers, and Bill Walsh at the time. When I was challenged the most when I was in New England, I was challenged by the ownership and by everybody there to do it the way they thought it needed to be done. And I got fired because I didn't do that. And I stayed with what I was doing and hung on there, and because they kept telling me, you got it right, you know what you're doing, don't back off, and it'll work out. Well, it didn't. I got fired, But it really, when I left that job, I still felt that strength. And so I didn't sanction the decision. I just went ahead and went to the next step. And so that is the risk. And this is a marvelous, I'm glad you brought it up, Jackson. It's a marvelous challenge to you to be who you are. Because everybody wants to be what you think you should be. That's the biggest problem. Everybody wants you to be this or be that. And that Robert Kraft wanted me to be some of Parcells and some of Pete. And I would have totally been inauthentic. I don't even know if that's a word. Is that a word? I don't know. Okay, but you know what I mean. All right. And I wouldn't have been true to myself, and I never would have found the power of my own messaging if I had not done that. So I just hope that some of you guys could figure that and go for it. What's up, buddy? Okay, thanks, Jackson. What's up, Boomer? How you doing, buddy?
Last question.
Let's see you again.
Last question.
First of all, just...
No, stay there. We'll get one more. Dave's in charge, but he's sitting down, so I got it. Okay, here.
I'm good.
Go ahead.
Coach Carroll, just want to thank you. You're such an inspiration to me, to everyone. Firsthand, I want to thank you for the opportunity of being a part of your football team as a walk-on. You've given me such inspiration to be...
oh, yeah, come on, give him a little love, Trojans, right here. Boomer.
You've inspired me to become a coach, and not only because of your enthusiasm and positiveness, but the impact that you have on your players, and just the character that you build among all of your players. And my question for you is, when you're sitting in an office and a head coach asks you, why should I hire you as a coach? What's your response? So what do I say when I ask?
I'm the one asking the question. Am I the head coach? Which one? What should you say when you're asking?
I'm sitting in
the
your
question?
office and I'm asking to be an assistant coach. And
What should you say? Right? What should you say? You should say exactly what's coming out of your heart. At the moment you get to that point where now it's the real test time. The truth is not coming out. You speak right from your heart and let them feel where you're coming from. And if that doesn't get it done, screw them.
Thank you, Coach Carroll.
Last
one more.
Hi, Pete. My name's Hal Wright, and I'm in a sports analytics class here. And we talk a lot about these advanced metrics, and obviously you and John Schneider have done an amazing job of evaluating talent over the last couple of years. And so I just want to ask you, are you guys using a lot of these advanced numbers, or is it more of an eye test, or what's sort of the process you go through when you evaluate a player?
Yeah, we use, because we're competing, we use every bit of information we can interpret. And we trust that we'll be able to make sense of it, because ultimately you come back to your gut. You get all the information possible, and the information could totally choke you and stagger you. But we feel like we can handle. John's a really agile thinker, and he's tremendous at it. We take all the information we can possibly get, and then we back off until we get to the point where we can actually say what we feel. That's how we do it. So there's marvelous stuff out there. Some makes sense, some doesn't. But we never stop at trying to figure out what the next thought might be to help us make great evaluations. But it really ultimately comes back to our gut.
I want to ask a couple people to come up. So you want a final word?
Yeah, I want to say this one more time, because if you're coaching and we're teaching, we got to keep on coming back to the things that are really important. You have the power. You do. Nobody controls what's going to happen for you. Nobody else does. You will feel like they do, and you wouldn't fight that, because you have the power to absolutely control where you're going and what you're doing. And if I could get that across to you, you will be able to become all that you're capable of becoming. And don't miss this chance. It ain't easy. You got to figure out what's important to you. You got to get down into it, and you got to do the work. Not everybody that's going to leave here is going to take these words, but I'm telling you, go home, get your notebook out, and start writing down what's important to you. You think that that's a bunch of crap. It isn't. Make the words mean something to you. Don't do it just to do it. It won't do you any good. You write down what's important to you, and what it doesn't even matter what it is. And just fill up the page and fill up another page and make words come to life for you, because that is a commitment that you make to those thoughts that will make things turn for you in the right direction. You have this freaking power. I want to see everybody kick ass. Everybody gets to win. Everybody gets to do all that you can think of. That's the truth now. The only reason it doesn't happen is because you ain't listening to what I'm saying. It's there for you. I wish you the very best. Thank you so much. It's great that you've been here.
Hold on. We're not done. Okay. Well, we got it. Hold on. Don't go anywhere.
I'm not going home.
It's deserved, but it didn't carry over to Seattle. I'd like to invite a couple people up. Lloyd Greif, Helena, if you could please come up and join me for a second. Ed Roski, I see you there. Would you mind joining us?
Roski's in the house. What's up, Ed?
Would you mind just go take a right?
Cool.
And Craig Pollard. Where's Craig Pollard? Craig Pollard, our current alumni entrepreneur of the year. If Craig could make his way up, that would be wonderful. So we have this tradition, but this is a new tradition for us. For those of you who know the Greif Center, it's one of the only places on SC with its own logo. And it's a series of circular dots with one dot standing out among all the rest, and that is the entrepreneur. And in this case, it's the competitor. Pete, from USC, we can't thank you enough for everything you've done for the program, for the football program, and on a personal level for my class. You came 4 years in a row to our MBA class, and it went from 40 students, and now as an undergrad class, it's 300, and it's no small part from your inspiration and your mindset. So this reads, in appreciation, Pete Carroll, win forever, always compete. Our first Competitors Award to Pete Carroll.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Lloyd. Thank you. Thank you, Helena. Appreciate it. Ho! Ho!
Come on in. Come on in. Come on. Hold on one second.
Can I add something?
And Lloyd would like to add something before we take pictures. Yes, Lloyd Greif.
So this normally does stand for the entrepreneur, but tonight it stands for something additional. So all these black dots are every other coach, both college and professional. Pete stands amongst only 2 other coaches ever who have won a national championship at the collegiate level, NCAA, and in the NFL. And that is amazing.
Pete Carroll. Guys, take a picture. Are you coming with us? Did you get some pictures? Everyone in. Everyone in.
Oh.
Careful, careful.
We're caught up there. Yeah,
Just
okay.
not the red dot. Anything but the red dot. All right, quick picture, and then we'll wrap it up. There you go.
Thanks. Hey, by the way, Will is buying at the 9-0.
Stay here. Stay here. You know, Pete, as I said, we can't thank you enough. It's been a great night at USC, a great homecoming to you and Glenna and Jamie and your family. There's only one way to send you out, brother. Let's bring it. Let's hear it for Pete Carroll.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you all. Thank you all. Good night. Good night. Great job. Thank you.